This week we ventured off to Wenderholm, albeit via the Puhoi Valley Cafe and Cheese store, where the coffee's fantastic and the food is great. If you're arriving there in a large camper, you probably want to be early because there's limited space for parking inside the cafe area, although I do believe there's some overflow parking outside of that. After coffee and a feed, it was a stop off at the dead centre of Puhoi, where the local history dates back to the early 1900s. A lot of local named roads after the people buried in this cemetery. If heading south on State Highway 1, you pull off on the Waiwera turnoff and you can stop on the hill above Wenderholm and actually have a look down onto the camping area, the beach and the estuary. This estuary does lead on to Puhoi itself, and you can do kayak tours from Wenderholm down to Puhoi. This view is at dead low tide, but later in the video you'll see some high tide shots of this wonderful estuarine system. So after arriving and trying to locate the self-contained parking spot, which by the way, during busy times during summer is completely full of the public parking. We ended up parking in the boat ramp trailer overflow. Luckily the boat ramp was empty. After that I did the Te Aki 30-minute loop track, 1.8 k's, and then immediately following that did the what was meant to be a 2.5 hour 4.6 k perimeter track. Didn't quite take me that length of time, but it is 4.6 or 4.8 k's according to my calculation. Come along, join me for this ride. Point to note that the back half of this track is extremely steep and non-formed, and during winter in wet conditions it would be probably almost treacherous. Now I did do this track anti-clockwise. I didn't note anyone else going that way. All of the other people that came towards me were going clockwise. I guess it just depends whether you like climbing unformed tracks or going down unformed tracks. It should be fun and games in here in the winter if it was wet, but because it's dry it's bloody good. Got the heart rate up nicely. Beautiful though. Puffing like an old man that I am. Well, which is a pretty steep climb up to the top going anti-clockwise, but beautiful once you get up here, and it's nice in that cold easterly breeze too, onshore breeze. Oh, there you go. doing the walk anti-clockwise, I ended up popping out at Coldry House. That walk was meant to be 2.5 hours. It actually only took me about an hour 15. Happened to be dinner time by the time I arrived back, so I guess what do? Throw a sausage on the barbie, Trev, have a bit of a cook up.
Whoops, a bit dark on one side. Bit of charcoal never hurt anyone.
And after a feed of sausages, it was off to the beach for a bit of a romantic stroll, so to speak, and then to bed for the night. Good morning, everyone. It's about 5:30 in the morning. Hope you appreciate the time lapse I'm about to bring you. Down by the beach on the Todd, but that's what we're seeing at the moment. So over the next hour or so I'll sit on the beach here and capture a time lapse for you. After mucking around for a couple of hours taking some footage for you, it was back to the camper van for coffee and little boys for breakfast, at which stage we received a phone call from home to say that Mac wasn't doing too well and was breathing like a train. So this little video is of him breathing, and sorry to cut the video short, but at that stage we packed up and headed for the hills, so to speak. And as this goes to air, Jilly and Sam have him off at the vets to find out what's wrong with him.